It's another day and we're still breathing. Hi, Simon. Okay, so let's just get started and then hopefully a few more people will join and then they can just join in when they get here. Okay, so we're gonna stand with our feet hip distance apart. So we're gonna find our hip bone by just feeling around. When you find the actual bone, point your fingers down. We want our big toe to be just where we're pointing, just underneath the hip bone. Weight equally distributed between the big toe, the outside of your foot, and your heel. Our knees are going to be slightly bent, or at least nice and loose. So if you're able to have straight legs without sort of adding tension into your knees by sort of clenching them, then that's great. A lot of people, including me, need to have slightly bent knees just to avoid that tension creeping in. We're going to have a string coming out the top of our head as if we're a marionette puppet, and hopefully that will help you to sort of elongate your neck a little, straighten your spine, and kind of keep your chin down. It's quite common as well to sort of poke your chin out, something I do anyway. So try and sort of everything nice and straight and aligned, shoulders down, hands nice and relaxed. If you were to bend your elbows, they would bend out that way, not that way. So sort of, and we just check that there's nothing you can crash into, because we're going to swing from our hips and just allow our arms to be completely floppy and just swing around with the momentum. And the reason for doing this is to just try and sort of warm up our bodies a little bit, get the blood pumping. It's a lovely day outside where I am. I don't know what the weather's like for you guys, but if you want to go outside, it's lovely doing this sort of thing outside. I don't think I've got enough Wi-Fi, so I'm going to stay in my kitchen. Okay, great, and shake it out. Very good. So each week we're sort of focusing on another part of the body specifically, so that hopefully, because everybody sort of holds tension in a different place, so hopefully at some point we'll get to a particular sort of pressure point for you, and then you'll learn an exercise to help warm it up. So we started up here, we've travelled down the arms, we're coming back to the sort of rib cage. So we're going to do an isolation exercise. So what that means is we want to try and keep everything else still except the area that we're focusing on, which is our rib cage. So we're going to try and go forward, centre, back, centre, forward, centre, back, centre. And we want to keep everything else as still as we can. It's quite tricky doing these isolation things, so don't worry if other things move a little bit, but just try to keep them still. I do find it helps keeping my hands on my hips, and I can feel if they move. And now we're just going to go straight through without stopping in the middle, nice and smooth. Just forward and back, forward, back. And come to the centre. And now we're going to go side to side. So we'll go right, centre, left, centre, right, centre, left, centre. And again, we want to try and keep everything else still. It's very tempting to sort of tilt your head or do things with your hips, but we want to try to just be moving the rib cage and nothing else if we can. And then smoothly all the way through without stopping in the middle. Very good. Come back to the centre. So now we're going to try and make a box shape. So we'll go forward, right, back, left, forward, left, back, right. So forward, right, back, left, forward, left, back, right. It's a bit tricky, this one. Forward, right, back, left, forward, left, back, right. Now we're going to try and do that as a sort of smoother action so that it's like a circle. And all the while we want to try and keep our head and our hips and everything else nice and still. We're just going to attempt to isolate our ribs here in this circle. And the other way. Very good. And if you really want to be ambitious, we'll try a figure of 8. It's quite tricky, this one. And back the other way. Very good. And shake it out. Well done, everybody. Okay, so now we're going to focus on breathing a little bit. So, as I say each week, but maybe somebody's new, so I'll go over it again. And even if you do know this, it does help to just keep it constantly being put into your mind, and you know, like repetition really helps you to learn. So, just underneath your bottom ribs is a big muscle. So you can feel around, find where those ribs are, and there'll be a muscle that sits just underneath, and that's called your diaphragm. Now that's the muscle that we use to breathe. However we breathe, that's always the muscle that's used, because your lungs are not muscles, so they can't breathe on their own. So what I want us to do now is we're going to push with the diaphragm to squeeze the air out of our lungs. Then for the in-breath, I want us all to just relax. Allow the diaphragm to just drop, and the air's going to just flood back in automatically. So most people, when you say relax, they think that's the out breath. I want to flip that. So I want us to engage the muscle when we're pushing the air out, and then when the air's going to come back in, we're just going to relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the air to flood back in. So in a minute, we're going to add some arm movements that are going to sort of reflect this. So as we breathe out, we're going to bring our hands up like this. That represents the diaphragm pushing the air out. Then when we relax and drop our diaphragm, our hands are going to come down to reflect that. And then we're going to bring them up like this, which represents our rib cage expanding as our lungs fill with air. So first we'll just get into a little rhythm of breathing, and I want you to try and visualize your diaphragm pushing, if you're able to. Not everyone can, but if you are able to sort of picture it in your mind's eye, that's fantastic. And we're going to get into a little rhythm, bending and straightening our legs, so no jerky movements. And again, if you want to have your knees slightly bent even when they're straight, that's fine. So when we straighten our legs, we're going to breathe out and then in, so it's always on the straight that we either breathe out or in. So in, out, in, out, in, out. So just get into your own little rhythm. And then we'll add the arms. So on the out breath, we'll bring our arms up. Up like this, push and relax, push, drop the diaphragm, push, rib cage expands, and we'll go to the side on the next one. Very good. And shake it out. I know it sometimes feels a bit silly when you do all the shaking out, but it does help so often, even as you're doing these exercises, and especially if you're concentrating on one area of your body, another area of your body starts to tense up and you don't realise it. So if you just try and have a little shake out, that I find that helps anyway. So we're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart again. So string coming out of the top of our head, nice long neck, nice long spine, shoulders down, feet hip distance apart, knees slightly bent. So if you want to sit down, this is the position to get into, and then just sort of bend your knees to sit down in the chair. Don't cross your legs and don't hold your knees together, because again, that causes tension. And what we want to try and do is only use the muscles that we need to be using. We don't want to waste energy sort of having anything clenched, or it's exhausting and we don't need to do it. And also it kind of affects other areas of the body. So we just want everything to be nice and relaxed, and that way our bodies can work as efficiently as possible. So we're going to look at a spot on the wall that is sort of roughly your own eye level. If you're able to look in a mirror, that's great, because then obviously you can just look into your own eyes. The reason it has to be eye level is because otherwise if you're looking up here, you might sort of tilt your chin, or if you're looking down, it affects your posture. So we just want it to be so that our head can be nice and straight. And we're just going to breathe, we're going to channel the air to that spot. Also, if you are looking in the mirror, it does help if bad habits sort of creep in, like if you do start veering, like you'll notice it more obviously because you can see it. But even if you're not looking in a mirror, you should still try and be mindful of what the rest of your body is doing. Are those shoulders creeping up? Is the bum clenching? Are you tightening your knees? Just start to try and get to know what your body does, and then you can try and help correct it. Don't beat yourself up. Bad habits will always creep in. Just try and relax out of them. If you get frustrated at yourself, you're more likely to tense up again. So just try and relax and sort of don't worry about it. Just be mindful of it and try and improve it gradually. You're never going to fix it in one session. So we're going to just channel the air to our spot by pushing with our diaphragm to squeeze the air out. So you can start whenever you're ready, and I'll continue talking it through. So we're just going to push with the diaphragm to squeeze the air out. When you get to the end of the breath, I want you to just push a little bit more. You'll be amazed, even when you think you've got no more breath left, there is almost always a little bit more air in your lungs. Sometimes it helps to actually put your hands on your rib cage and just give it a little squeeze. Obviously we're stretching, so it's okay to be outside your comfort zone, but if anything ever hurts or feels weird or uncomfortable in a bad way, I'm not there with you, so I can't sort of see what you're doing. So you've got to be a judge of it yourself. If it feels wrong, then obviously just stop or be a bit more gentle with yourself, but don't let that be an excuse to be lazy. So I want us to squeeze all the air out. When you get to the end, push a little bit more, then if you can, hold it for a second or two, then just relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the air to flood back in. So it's the same principle as before. The part that you're engaging the muscles is to push the air out, and then you're just going to relax, just allow the diaphragm to just fall down, and the air will automatically suck back in like a sort of hydraulic system. Very good, keep going. Keep thinking about your posture as well. Is anything doing something it shouldn't be doing? Just relax out of it. Push, push, push. And relax, drop the diaphragm. Okay, so when you get to the end of whatever breath you're currently on, we're going to switch to a shh. So it's the same principle, you're still channeling the air to the spot. Make sure that your shh is nice and open so that you've got enough space for the air to come out, and you just want to push it out. Try not to hold back any of the breath because you think it will make it last longer. The idea of this is to just push in a controlled way, but push all the air out of your lungs using your diaphragm, and then just relaxing, dropping the diaphragm, and just allowing the air to flood back in. Come to the end of whatever breath you're on, and we'll just shake it out. Nice big yawn and stretch. So that open throat feeling of the yawn, that's a very good position for your throat to be in when you're singing. So try to remember that kind of feeling that you feel in your throat when your throat's nice and open, and you can use that when you're singing if you want to. Okay, so now we'll do the same exercise, but we'll do an ah. So again, try and feel that yawn. Ah. You can pick whatever note you want, and hopefully somewhere in the universe we'll all be making a nice little chord together, nice little harmony. And so you're just going to channel your R to your spot. You're going to push with your diaphragm, squeeze the air out of your lungs, push a bit more. Then when you get to the end of the breath, push a little bit more. Then you're going to hold it, hold, then relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the air to flood back in on an So it's important to try and push all the air out rather than holding back, because when you hold back, you then need to breathe in again before you've got all the air out of your lungs. So then you're just breathing air on top of more air, and then that's when you start to hyperventilate. So we want to be pushing the air out. Don't try and hold it back. It won't really help you. Okay, very good. So come to the end of whatever breath you're currently on, and then just shake it out again. Another yawn. So we're going to do a little exercise that, I mean, it's not necessarily that brilliant for singing, but it is a good de-stress one, and it's not bad for singing because you're still controlling the breath. It's called box breathing. We're going to breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, out for 4 counts, and then hold it for 4 counts. I like this exercise, like I say, especially for stress relief. I've said this before, but you know, we all get nervous about different things. I personally find it a bit nerve-wracking every time I need to make a phone call. And so if you could just like do a little bit of box breathing before you have to make that phone call, or whatever it is that you are stressed about. And I think even though, as we're coming out of lockdown, it's generally a positive thing, but it's still a change, and lots of things have changed, and it's not just going back to how it was before, and that's stressful, and it's okay to feel a bit stressed, but if you can harness it and sort of overcome it, that's better than just sort of pretending that nothing's happening. So we're just going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, push the diaphragm, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Very good, well done. Okay, so now we're going to stay in our comfortable position. Like I say, you can be sitting down, standing up. I mean, you can lie down on the floor as well. If you, I keep saying I'm going to do some floor exercises, but I think I need to wash my floor first before I show it to you. So whatever position is comfortable, but just make sure that you're mindful of what your posture is doing. If you're sitting down, don't cross your legs. Try not to sort of put the weight, if you're standing, don't put the weight on one side. Just try and make sure that everything's nice and balanced, and nothing has to do harder work than it needs to. You're just supporting your weight in a comfortable, relaxed way. And you're going to look at your spot, and then I want you to close your eyes. And you're just going to breathe in the same way that we've been breathing already, where we push with our diaphragm to squeeze the air out of our lungs, and then we relax to drop the diaphragm and just allow the air to flood back in. But this time we're going to breathe just in a much more normal kind of rhythm. You can find your own rhythm. You can breathe with your nose, your mouth, a combination of the two, whatever is comfortable for you. But what I want you to just focus on is pushing with your diaphragm and then relaxing and dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. Pushing and relaxing. You don't have to hold in between. You don't have to make your breath last any amount of time that isn't comfortable. Just going to relax and push and drop the diaphragm and push. And whilst you're breathing like this, I want you to listen to whatever sounds that you can hear outside the room that you're in. So there might be cars driving by, there might be an aeroplane, it might be completely silent, and then you'll listen to that silence and all the thoughts in your head and all the other sounds that you can hear. You're just not going to listen to them. So they'll be there, you can't block them out completely, but you won't listen to them. And for just this short amount of time, it will feel like there are no other problems or anything, because you're just not listening to them. You're just concentrating on pushing the air out of your lungs with your diaphragm, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and allowing the air to flood back in. to continue pushing with your diaphragm to squeeze the air out of your lungs, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. Now I want you to take one step closer with your mind, and you're just going to listen to whatever sounds you can hear inside the room that you're in. So you'll still hear the sounds outside, but you're not going to listen to them. You're just going to listen to what you can hear in the room that you're in. It might be a clock ticking, it might be a radiator buzzing, it might be completely silent. Then you're going to listen to that silence, and all the while you'll be thinking through your body. Is any tension creeping in? Have I clenched my bum? Are my knees locked tight? My shoulders creeping up? Just relax out of them through breathing, pushing with your diaphragm to squeeze the air out of your lungs, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. Continue pushing with your diaphragm, squeezing the air out of your lungs, and relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. Now I want you to take another step closer with your mind, and now we're just going to listen to all the sounds that your own body is making. So you might be able to feel your heart beating, you might be able to hear tummy rumble a little bit. You might be able to hear yourself breathing. You might be completely silent, and then you're just going to listen to that silence, and all the while push with your diaphragm to squeeze the air out of your lungs, and then relax, drop the diaphragm and just allow the air to flood back in. listen to your own body, you're going to listen to the room that you're in, and you're going to listen to the space beyond the room you're in, and you're going to feel your presence in those spaces, all through breathing, pushing with your diaphragm, squeezing the air out of your lungs, and relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. Feel a bit more present in this space. Excellent session, everybody. Well done. So we're going to finish as we usually do with a little sing song. So whilst we're singing, we're going to put into practice what we've just been thinking about and learning with the breathing and pushing with our diaphragm to squeeze out the song, and then relax, drop the diaphragm to let the air in for the next phrase. So this week's song is Three Little Birds. I've got a link to the lyrics in the description, so I'll just give you a minute to find those. Make sure you open it in a new tab because we don't want to lose this session. So whilst you're doing that, I'll take this opportunity to say thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate the support. Special thank you to anyone who also supports me. Thank you, Simon. Yeah, have a lovely Thursday, everyone. Special thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon or PayPal. And if you know anybody else who might benefit from these sessions, or you think might, thank you, Daily Bark. If you know anybody else who you think might benefit from these sessions or just enjoy them, please do tell them about it, because I'm obviously always trying to grow my channel. And yeah, so let's have a little sing. So if anyone's got an instrument, the chords are B, E, I play A6, and F sharp. So let's sing. And remember to use your diaphragm whilst you're singing, and try and correct your posture if you need to. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gotta be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, yeah. 'Cause every little thing's gotta be alright. Rise up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. 3 little birds perched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Oh, oh. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, yeah. 'Cause every little thing's gotta be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, yeah. 'Cause every little thing's gotta be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds perched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Oh, oh. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, yeah. 'Cause every little thing's gotta be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah, yeah. 'Cause every little thing's gotta be alright. Because every little thing's gotta be alright. Thank you very much. Have a great Thursday. I will be back tomorrow at 11 AM Greenwich Mean Time, and every weekday as well. So hopefully I will see you again soon. Have a great Thursday and rest of your week, and lots of love. Bye.